So this session is billed as a quick virtual tour of Curipod, and we've got our QR code up there if you want to scan it. At the very end of the presentation, there is a link so that you can make a copy of the presentation and put it into your Canva account. So you'll have all of the slides to keep track of and go back to for reference. You don't have to just have the presentation view as your reference source. And this is our agenda. We're going to learn how to use Curipod to create engaging lessons. We're going to do a quick tour of all of the features of Curipod, look into how to find the pre-created lessons that teachers have been sharing with each other and some of the generators that Curipod has embedded in there and all of the resources that they have, and really look at how they have created this platform to be a way to create synchronous lessons with students. And their whole mission is to really make it so that it's the teacher to student and the student to student interactions are at the core of the teaching experience. So first things first, here on this screen, if you want to jump over here also to the Wednesday webinar Padlet and open that up. It is going to give you a chance to do some quick introductions. I love to know who's in the room. Gives me a way to kind of customize examples and make sure that, of all of the things that this platform has to offer, maybe I can pull out some things that are particular to the people who are here today. So on this first little column, if you would introduce yourself. So if you're not a Padlet person, I'll give you a quick little rundown. They have really changed things a lot too. Padlet has been updating and adding features. They have all of the things that they have had for years and years, but then they've also been adding a lot of stuff and stepping up their game. So once you jump into Padlet, if you click this little plus sign, it'll open up a brand new note. And if you just want to say, hello and add your name in there and where you're from, what your educational role is, and maybe a little bit about why you are here today, what you hope to learn about Curipod, and I'll give everybody a minute to do that. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to introduce myself. So my name is Stacy Lovedahl, and I am with the DPI Digital Teaching and Learning Division, and I am the regional consultant for Western North Carolina, and we are definitely keeping them in our thoughts and prayers for, as they're going through their recovery. I've been definitely keeping track of the social media posts and the news and just all of the volunteering that's been going on out there as the schools start reopening, and parts of the West are definitely still in recovery mode, and that's going to be going on for a long time. There are parts of the West that are opening back up, so we are seeing a little bit of good news coming out there. So let's look at our little, delete that one. So let's look at this the column. Ashley, Instructional Technology Facilitator, Cabarrus County. Amy, hello, it's good to see you. ITF in Concord. Holly Jenkins, looking for tools that can help teachers in your school with planning and assessments. Definitely. Cheryl, DTL coach, learning more about Curipod. Definitely going to learn a lot about that. Thank you for posting. Good morning, Shannon. Winston-Salem, excellent. Hi, Martha, good to see you. Tina, lead librarian, Belva, tech director in Sampson County. I just love seeing how we just have so many areas of the state covered here. So thank you guys, Jesse, ITF, Odell Elementary, put these things into your coaching. So I love how we have just this awesome variety of people here. So I'm going to try to point out things. Definitely drop questions in the chat. I've got the chat open here, so we'll make sure that if you've got questions, I'll point things out to you also. Okay, so let's jump back over here to the presentation and get this going on. Okie doke. Quick little disclaimer here, of course, with any third-party tool, if you are interested in using it in your school, you would check with your technology department and make sure that all of the third-party disclaimers and everything are in third-party integration is checked off before you go ahead with this in your district. So we just want to make sure that we put that up there. One of the things that I want to make you guys aware of is a lot of these tools that we're talking about have an excellent community built behind them. And one of my favorites is the Facebook Curipod Ambassadors group. So if you go to Curipod and you go through some of their information on their website and get involved in Facebook, if you're a Facebook person, it's a really good community. It's private, so only the Curipod people and teachers are in there, and they're really responsive to questions and letting you know about new things that are coming out. So I've got that pulled up in another tab. If we have time at the end, I'll show you around a little bit about some of the things that they've got going on there. So just for example, in the last couple of days, their founder posted about some new integrations that they had released just recently. They posted about how to generate new information about generating lessons that came out, so you're kind of always aware about the new things that are coming out from Curipod. And then one of the teachers posted about how they figured out how to integrate a lesson that they had created in Canva and embed that inside a Curipod experience. So it's kind of cool that the way people are just really great about sharing things inside that community. So highly recommend the Curipod Facebook group. This next page is some information about some resources in just a really quick and easy one-stop way to get over to some of the resources that are in that are available to learn more about Curipod. If you know me, you know I've been collecting things in Wakelet about AI for the past, I think it's going to be going on 2 years now, maybe a year and a half. So this first link is to my Curipod Wakelet. So I'm going to open that up and show it to you really quick. And this one has a Wakelet within a Wakelet because Curipod also has their own Wakelet full of their PD resources. So I included their Wakelet down here. This is the Curipod Wakelet that has all of their PD resources that are also, some of them are also on their website. I linked over their PD or their YouTube channel where they have all of their videos posted. And then also I just started collecting some of my favorite Curipod experiences in this Wakelet. So just be a one-stop way for me to get over to some of the Curipods that I really, really liked. So every time I come across something that a teacher's created that I found either in the Facebook community or on the site itself, I link it over here. So that's some of the stuff that I have added over here. So that is in that link. And then I've got the PD page. This is, if you click on here, this takes you straight over to the Curipod website to their courses. And these are short little, they call them courses, but that makes it sound a little bit longer than it actually is. But it'll take you through step by step all of the different levels of information going through their site. So you can, if you're interested in ELL, it'll show you how you can use Curipod for ELL students. And eventually you get enough little certificates so you can be an Curipod certified teacher. Okay, so some of the features that Curipod has that I think are really, really valuable are their whole entire mission is focused on increasing student collaboration. So using technology as the vehicle for increasing collaboration and that social experience in the classroom. So even though it looks like a presentation tool, Curipod is focused on using your technology and your content to foster engagement and creativity and connections within the classroom. So it's definitely oriented towards being a synchronous experience in the classroom. They have tools behind the scenes to allow teachers to track student progress. So there's a really good teacher dashboard embedded in Curipod. It's completely customizable, and there are just tons and tons of generators that will accommodate all content areas. So one of the first things I would like you guys to do is to join my Curipod experience. This is what you would do if you were doing this in the classroom with your students. So if you would click over to curie.live and and then it'll ask you your name. So just type in your first name, your real name, it will tell you, and then add this code. And I'm going to go over there and launch this. And hopefully this will be the currently active code that I have started. So I'm going to make sure that that is still true and get this started. So it should be curie.live. Okay. It should be curie.live 694395. Okay, it looks like 17. If you can see down here, 17 people have joined. Okay, so everybody is joining in here, it looks like. And I'm going to join too, just so that I have the same experience as you guys. So I'm going to go over here to my Curie Live. And I'm going to type in 694395 and join. And I love how they give you a crazy little name. And there we go. So now I'm going to start my experience for everybody. So you can see that Curipod is full of very happy people, and their signature color is orange. I was lucky to meet one of their founders at a workshop or at a conference one time, and they're just as happy. I don't know how they maintain their energy level, but they are always that happy, apparently. So my first question for you guys is going to be, how familiar are you with Curipod? So when you click go, it launches the question and sends it to you. So hopefully it's showing up on your screens. Okay, so I opened up the moderation view, and so what I'm able to see is that after it ends, it shows everything. And during during the session, it'll actually show you real-time progress, how people are actually answering. So you can see the overall view of the bar graph once it ends. So I've tried it with my students, I've played with it a little bit, and then I haven't had a chance to, so it gives you a good overview of of the overall answers. But then behind the scenes, you can also see what your individual student answers are. So if you want to check and see, how did Stacy respond? How did Joey respond? How did individual kids respond? You can open up your moderation view and you can actually collect the data on your individual students. So that's a pretty cool feature. Okay, so I'm going to go to our next one, and that should send it to your screen. So our next question is going to be, what do you want to accomplish with Curipod? So I'm going to give you, since this is an open-ended question, this one gives you a little bit longer because you're going to have to actually type words. Okay, so you can see I tried to slide the moderation view over onto the screen during things, so you can kind of see behind the scenes. You can be looking at the moderation view to kind of check the progress of your students while the question is going on. And then up in the upper right hand corner, you can also see that you've got your student view and your responses view, so you can see how, whether or not, what the progress is, how many students you have total, and then how many students have actually, turned in the response. So, and then over here, we've got 20 answers out of 21 participants, so you can see whether or not everybody has turned things in. Okay, so that's super helpful. And then, again, we're gonna run to the next one. I'm going to skip this one because I just want to make sure that we've got enough time to do everything here. So let's do our last one. This is a drawing one. And our icebreaker is, and this is just to demonstrate the drawing tool, is to draw your best moment as a teacher. Now this one I experimented with behind the scenes, and it's kind of fun to play with. So imagine students trying to interact with their trackpad, or if you've got a touchscreen Chromebook, how this would go. I would love to use this tool in science class because we draw everything in science. Okay, so here we go. Draw your best moment as a teacher. I tell you, I get to watch you guys doing this behind the scenes, and Some people are doing an amazing job, especially considering that I did this myself and I was terrible at it. Ashley has learned how to shade. Holly has used the fill tool. Some of you have figured out how to insert stickers and stamps. Super amazing skills. Okay, we have 10 seconds. Okay, so behind the scenes, it was really fun to watch this. So what we're going to do next is there will be voting. Okay, so we are going to have, it'll display everybody's drawings on the screen, and you'll have time to vote for the best drawing. And the winner will be invited to share their story. So you could either unmute your mic and share, or talk about it in the chat. Okay, so here we go. There we go. So there's our winner. Okay, so the winner is right here with 7 votes. And would you like to share in the chat for just a second, or unmute your mic and tell us a little bit about what inspired your picture?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So when my daughter was in 8th grade, I was able to go as a chaperone because I was a teacher at the school on a field trip with her and all of her classmates the same age to Sound to the Sea in North Carolina. And it was the best experience watching those kids and interacting with all the kids that had grown up with my daughter, but on the teacher role, but also there as the mom. So
That is a great story. I love that. And I agree. I love that you can insert a picture. I love that all the creativity, just in general, that your different pictures were displaying, and how fast you figured it out. So with like 0 instructions. And so that was really cool. Thank you guys for playing along with that. That's awesome. Okay, so just think about, just real quick, or and type in the chat if you want to, about how the engagement factor of the voting feature and this interactivity could be applied in the classroom. What are some ways that you think that this gives agency to students? And one of the things that you're going to see in just a few minutes as we go through some of the examples, the other pre-made examples and of the tools in Curipod, is that everything that they do is focused on how you can design it as the teacher and then turn that, once it's designed, turn that interactivity over to the students, but still have it connected to the content that the teacher is teaching. So it's all standards aligned, but it is embedded with that interactivity and that social engagement with students. I agree, Shannon. Students could choose the topics to research and the activities and the strategies so that they have that connection and that involvement. And you can keep it anonymous. You could teach that strategy up front of what your expectations are and how to use it so that they know going in how to sign in, or if they're not signing in, but how to join. Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to stop this one. Yeah. Okay, so I want to go forward with this and get back to our session so that I can show you some more of the features really quickly, because I feel like I'm using a little bit more time than I expected on this session. So if you haven't already set up a Curipod account, I've got the steps to do that right here. For the first time, it is a little there. Like with anything, there are a few steps to sign into Curipod and create an account. So if you want to go ahead and click over to a new tab and sign into Curipod.com and sign up, it's free. There's a free version. You might have a free trial if this is the first time, that eventually expires and goes back to the freemium version. Everything that I'm going to show you has a free side and then a slightly upgraded side. I'm on a free trial right now, but I think it's going to expire sometime in November. So we'll kind of click back and forth between what's free and what's freemium. So when you go into curipod.com, click sign up, it's free. So that'll be over here. And you'll definitely want to be in the account right now so that the things that you click on that I show you in a few minutes will actually make a copy and be in your free lessons so that you can get back to them as we go along. So sign up, it's free. And then once you get inside there, you'll see a screen that asks you for some information about what your primary role is. And so click that and then click next. And it'll ask you for your country. So click United States and click next, and then find your school. And so, most of the time the school shows up, and there'll be a drop down and you can search for your school. If there's not, then you can contact them, and there's a process for getting your school located. But so far, for the most part, I think I've always been able to, they've gotten all of the North Carolina schools and districts in there. But if there isn't, I know there's a process to get them added to the drop-down box. And then sign up with email or continue with Google. So get it associated with your K-12 district or with your school account so that you have the teacher account associated. Okay. Is anybody having any kind of problems with getting signed in? Okay, so once you're inside, you're signed into Curipod, this is what your home page is going to look like. You'll have all of these choices across the top. You'll have this button for creating a new lesson. And then down here on the left-hand side, it'll show you kind of the status of whether or not you're having a free trial or your freemium or whatever that is. And then you'll have home, my lessons, my reports, collections, inspiration, which we'll spend some time on, and then your school usage and other information. This side over here changes. Like when I was in here at the end of last year, they didn't have as many features, and they've definitely changed things over the summer. So if you spend some time away and you come back, you might see that they have added different things or they've rearranged things. So, and then this is another spot where you can create a lesson. So we're going to click over here a little bit too. And then as you start using things, you'll have recent reports reports and recent lessons, kind of filling up this space in the middle. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to click around and find out what's going on here with creating a full lesson. So I'm going to exit out of this tab and jump over to Curipod, and we're going to look at what it looks like there. So let me get in and click on Create Lesson. When you look at this, let's look at what happens when you click Generate Lesson. The first thing right here is you get this screen that you can fill things in. Now, I want to show you, if you just say, as a former middle school science teacher, if I clicked heat transfer and convection, it's going to fill in some words. The problem with this is that in North Carolina, we have our own standards, right? So what I always say is you should definitely go over to your North Carolina Standard Course of Study. I have them bookmarked on my toolbar so that I can go directly to the standards. North Carolina has recently updated the science standards. They're in the process of updating more standards. So every school, every district has a location for their own pacing guides and all of those things. So go directly to your standards and copy our North Carolina standards and put them directly into the tool. So I would go to my North Carolina standards, I would open them up, and so suppose I want to get, I'm working on forces in motion, I might grab this standard, copy it, and then go back over to here, and I wouldn't click on just heat transfer straight out of wherever they're deciding that topic is. I would get rid of that, and I would paste my actual North Carolina standard in there. I would change it to 5th grade because that's where it came from. Keep my language the same. And then down here under additional criteria, I put this in the slide deck. Let me go over here. And so you can have a reference. What kinds of information might you want to put into additional criteria? So things like real world examples. Right now it's fall, so maybe it's going to be real world examples that relate to fall. Include questions that promote higher order thinking skills. If you are specifically Bloom's taxonomy or depth of knowledge, then include things that align with what your district is focusing on. Include diverse perspectives for students representing a range of cultural, linguistic, and socioeconomic identities. So try to make sure that we are using appropriate language that includes everybody. Include strategies for differentiating instruction for various abilities and scaffolding extensions. Remember, my class is only X minutes long, so Curipod is pretty good about not having things that are really, really long. They keep their slides short and to the point. But if you only have 10 minutes, then tell it you only have 10 minutes. Include a brain break and see what it comes up with. Their brain breaks are amazing. So I'm going to copy all of this information and put it in there. And I could probably give you guys a Google Doc for this, so you could do that too. So I'll add that to the notes and give you a link for that. So that would be super helpful. And put all of that in here, and I'm going to put in 10 minutes for that and click Get Lesson. And in just a couple of seconds, it's going to create a slide deck that goes with your North Carolina standard that has all of your information in it. And then you can go through as the human and double check to make sure that it actually matches what you want it to say. I said a couple of seconds, but maybe it'll be a minute. There we go. So it creates a graphic for you. That's probably why it took more than a couple of seconds, because creating AI graphics takes a little bit of time. I would look at that graphic and make sure that I liked it. It looks a little bit dark. Understanding motion, gravity, friction, and mass. Definitely check these details and make sure that it's getting that it's all accurate. and see what you think about that. So this is the key factors affecting motion. Discuss with a partner how gravity, friction, and mass affect activities you do in the fall. Consider differences in activities across various cultural and socio and economic backgrounds. So that's a little bit direct, so I might change that. If the mass of a rolling pumpkin changes, how do you think its movement will change? So um, now you're going to have to go through here and do some editing on this, I think, because it doesn't have a whole lot of graphics and kids are going to want it to be a little bit more visual. So we're going to talk about the editor in just a minute, but there's an edit button up here that'll let you open it up and use this editor to change it and make it a little bit more visually appealing. So we're going to get back to that in just a minute. Okay, let's look at the next one. Also under this, this tab right here, when you click create and you open up this toolbar, there's a really good tab for building literacy skills. So when you are over here in Curipod, and we're going to click on home again. So click on home to get yourself back to this main screen and click on create lesson. And this will get you over here where you've got these 5 little choices. And this time click on build literacy skills. And under build literacy skills, it gives you choices of argumentative writing, informational writing, topic sentences, thesis statements, and narrative writing. And I feel like this one is really well connected to what DPI's ELA Vic and those resources have been talking about. So under Writing with Curipod, we've got the ELA Vic, which is the virtual implementation kit. And then there's also a resource repository that they have linked there that gives you all of this information for their writing standards. So when you click over here to the resource repository, you can change the grade to 912, the resource type to document, the concept to writing, and the LIS to writing. And it will give you these amazing resources for writing instruction. And this resource in Curipod ties directly to doing, to supporting the type of writing that that those resources are encouraging. So, for example, the thesis statement resource, where it has a thesis statement skill builder, is already created. You click on this, you can customize it. Now, the standards that they have listed over here are not North Carolina standards, but when you scroll down, you can customize it to your grade level. You can add a topic. So you could say fall in North Carolina, and you could click Get Lesson, and it'll allow you to customize the lesson for our standards and the resources in the ELA Vic. So before I leave that lesson and those 2 things, are there any questions about that? So here are the learning objectives. In the Skill Builder series, it talks about writing a thesis statement. It gives you the learning objectives. It lets you customize your lesson, and it gives you, now see, it gives you the Texas standards, which are definitely not our standards, but because you can go up here and you can edit it, you can modify it to be the North Carolina standards that we have in our ELA Vic. Okay. Going back to the main screen. So I'm going to click back on home. And the next one that I want to show you, I'm going to close some of these so I have fewer tabs. The next one that I want to show you is also related to writing, and it is getting AI feedback on your writing. And the example is called Co-Write a Fairy Tale with AI. So, and it's in your slide deck. So let me open that back up because I just closed it. So on slide number 22 in your slide deck, we have an example called Co-Write a Fairy Tale with AI. So if you open that one up, it'll take you over to this example. So it's one of the pre-made lessons that Curipod has created and then shared publicly with anybody. And so if you open it up, you can customize it to any type of fairy tale that you would like it to be. So you could say good versus evil, romance, heroism. So you type any type of theme that you want in here. So if we say heroism and add that in there, it'll generate a lesson based on that. And when you present it, it lets kids jump in there. You could take out I'm going to leave in the directions so that you can see a little bit about what it's about, but it has students go through all of these different stages. So this is what it teaches. In the lesson, the kids will be prompted to add their own information about the fairy tale. And then on their screen, once they join it, on their screen, they describe themselves and the setting of the fairy tale. And once and they're given about a half an hour to write their information on their device. And when they submit it to Curipod, the AI will evaluate it for them according to a rubric and then give them AI generated feedback. And then they evaluate the feedback that they're given with a partner. And then but with them and their partner, they have a written rubric that you have created, and they work with their partner to evaluate the feedback that the AI gave them to improve their writing. So the AI gives them instant feedback, but then they use their instant feedback to work with their partner to improve their writing, and then use that feedback to type their improvements on their own and resubmit their revision back to the AI and then back to you. So it's AI enabled but human created AI writing. So here's the example. So you would describe yourself as a character in the text and explain the setting. And your screen, you can modify this, but this is the example that they give you. And you would show this to the students as the example. And as soon as you hit go, the kids' screen changes, and that's where they actually type their own example. And then on the next screen, that's where they get their feedback from the AI. And the whole lesson takes about 45 minutes. Okay, questions about that? Okay. Another example that I really like is infer the country or the element. This is another pre-created lesson from Curipod. So if you click on this link, it will take you over to the actual example in Curipod, and it'll put it into your account. And the rules of this game, it's set up to be a little bit gamified, is that Curipod in the lesson takes on question in the chat. Is them entering their name and the grade level a PI thing, or Is it okay because it's generic? So when the kids join the Curipod experience, they should just enter their first name. So they shouldn't have to enter any other information. And that wouldn't be PII if they just entered their first name.
Catherine, if you don't mind me interrupting, Stace, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Catherine, one of the things that I like to tell people is PII makes them identifiable in a room. So if you think about a room or a building full of students, a first name wouldn't necessarily single them out in an entire building, but a first name and a last name would, or a student number would.
Oh, I see. In the fairy tale example. That's a good question. And okay. So in the rules of the game for the element or the country, the Curipod experience is taking on the role of the country, kind of like it would if you were, doing a chat with a historical figure. But in this case, it could be a country or an element. And the kids work in teams or pairs to identify what the country is throughout the experience. Another one that you can use either as a standalone throughout any lesson, or you can have them embedded inside an existing lesson is brain breaks. They're very random. And so you click on here to generate brain breaks. Another one is Sketch and Share. So they have a standalone generator where you can either use Sketch and Share just as a standalone experience, or you can embed it inside another lesson. So that's the link to that. This one, I know English teachers, this is a whole entire thing. So the link to Wrap Your Head Around Idioms is a great lesson. You can customize it for North Carolina standards. So that's the link to that one. And then this one is relatively new. So the Curie quiz. So Curie quiz is always collaborative. It is designed to be based on a race. So this one is a ton of fun, and it's set up as a game board so that students write in as many right answers as they can. And then it's sort of like the game Beat the Clock. Okay, so I wanted to give you a quick tour of the editor to show you everything that you can do if you get, the basic information from Curipod, but you're looking at it and thinking it's not quite, you just need to jazz it up a little bit. So they have a pretty good editor. You can, when you open up an experience and click edit, you're going to see all of these tools on the left-hand side. So you can change the text, you can add and edit the text, you can insert media and customize media either from your, upload it from your computer or from your Google Drive. You can add all of the basic elements and shapes and things. You can add and replace and edit background elements, and then it translates into I didn't look at all of the languages, but there are a lot of languages in this drop down. And then you can search for existing lessons and customize those. And then we're going to look at how you can upload existing Google Slides and PowerPoints. And then so if you've got Canvas slide decks that you want to upload, you can download those as a PowerPoint and then upload those. So you have a lot of things that you can add and customize with the Curipod editor. So the other thing that I wanted to make sure that I pointed out is the background, replacing the background. If you use that background editor and replace the background with almost anything, but math teachers would like this example is replacing it with graph paper or a coordinate plane, then you can use the drawing tool to do a lot of different things with all of the different drawing tools that are embedded inside the editor, and then the experience when you add it as the sketch and draw interaction. The last thing inside the editor is up in the upper right-hand corner. There's a little gear. So when you click on that, most experiences are titled, untitled, or experience. So you need to click on the little gear to change the title, to add some information to the description, to add any alt text to the graphic, and then to turn on the information down here, whether or not you're going to require real names or just let kids have their nicknames, like Laughing Penguin or whatever, and then whether or not link sharing is going to be okay, and then click done. Okay, then quick little tour of the lesson results in the teacher dashboard. Whenever when students join the experience, it'll list the names or the nicknames behind the scenes and a complete history of their interactions in your experience in the dashboard, and it'll give you AI generated insights into how they participated and how that went. So I want to show you an example of what the class reports and what all of that looks like. So here's an example of what a dashboard looks like. It'll have the names listed on the left-hand side and how much they participated in all of the different interactions that you gave them a chance to participate in. And you had open-ended responses. It'll give an example, a history of what their understandings were, the misconceptions. It'll give individual reports on all of the students. It characterizes them as glows, grows, and then action items. And it allows you to download them as a CSV file if you need that. And I want to give you a quick little tour of this from Aileen Wilson because she uses this a lot in her class. So here's an example of her class report and some information from her. So here's an actual example of some lesson summaries from some of her students and how it showed what the common understandings were from the students. This is the AI generated insights, and it gave the common misconceptions based on the questions she asked, and then it summarized some action items based on how the kids answered the questions that she was asking during the lesson. It also generated feedback that she could actually give to individual students based on how they answered the questions. So it goes student by student and gives the glows, grows, and action items for each student. And for us, I wanted to show you, if I go over to Curipod and that, and go to home, and go to my lessons, and go to an AI Summit. So this is an example of a session that I did. Now this is with all adults, but it had a lot of open-ended responses. So you can see it lists everybody on the left-hand side. It gives how much they interacted. And if you click on each individual person, it'll show what their responses were. And then if you want to know more about it, you can click on them and see what information each individual person actually said. Okay, so continuing, because I'm going to run out of time. Okay, so there are a lot more experiences that you can find that are already pre-created that you can add to your account and then customize for your classroom. And I went over to the Facebook community, and a lot of people are just sharing information that they have. There are PD slide decks that have already been created. So kind of narrowing this down to, what people's top Curipod faves are is really pretty difficult to do. So this is a gigantic list, I have to admit. So this is the first set. This is the first list, and then asking Curipod to actually narrow it down is basically impossible. So we listed everything. So this is a huge list. What I'm going to say is the way to get to any of those things, if you cull through that list and say, well, I want to find, what are my AI superpowers? What are my writing superpowers? How do I find, something on this list? Is you would click over to Home, click Create Lesson, and under Generate Lesson, under Generate Lesson, you would click for Search and type in any of those words, and what you're looking for will start to come up. So it's really easy to find any of these things that you're looking for in this list. So if you're looking for leveled reading passages, a compare and contrast, any of the topics that are on the Curipod faves, you can search for them and they'll show up in your list, and then you add them to your account, and you can customize the grade level, the standards, and then any of the slides that come up, and add additional things to them, and they will show up in your account. So. And with that being said, I am going to pause and see if we have any questions on that, and check the chat, which we're good, and ask Lindsay to pop the feedback form into the chat. The feedback form will also send you your CEU certificate or participation that you can turn in if you need your CEUs. It also asks for your information about what you might want to see in the future in these Wednesday webinars. So we take that information very seriously, because we know that AI is changing all the time, and the way people are using it in the classroom or the needs are changing all the time. So any tips that you can give us on what are the most interesting topics, we would really like to know your information, your opinions in those open-ended questions at the end. So thank you very much for spending an hour with us here this morning, and we hope to see you next time.
Hey, Stacy, can you